It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of December 20th, 2002. We've got 7 movies to look at today, a lot of films to take a look at, so let's not waste any more time and get right to it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is, obviously, the second installment of the Lord of the Rings series from Peter Jackson, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
How many? 10,000 strong at least. Let them come. Ireland's time is over. Let them go. It's the ring. Frodo! Let's take it over here. The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, rated PG-13.
So in this film, this continues the plot from the previous film and actually involves 3 different storylines going on here. You have Frodo and Sam continuing their journey towards Mordor to destroy the One Ring, and now aided by Gollum, the ring's untrustworthy former bearer. You have Merry and Pippin escaping their orc captors, meeting Treebird the Ent, and helping to plan an attack on Isengard, fortress of Saruman. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli in their pursuits come to the war-torn nation of Rohan and are reunited with the resurrected Gandalf before fighting against the legions of the treacherous wizard Saruman and the Battle of Helm's Deep. So, yeah, continuing what was made with the last film, a lot of the flaws that, if there were any real flaws in the last movie, a lot of them are fixed in this particular film, and you can tell the film is really building up the anticipation of what these movies are about. Like, the film really builds up what's coming ahead here with some really great, incredible action sequences all around here. I mean, the Battle at Helm's Deep really is one of the best action sequences you'll ever see. I mean, this is some really damn good action, and it's all over them, and like you really never feel like you're sitting there for a long time waiting for the thing to go on. No, it's the perfect amount of time to actually go on, and you just get so invested in what's going on in there, and it's just like, it's amazing to watch. The cast overall, once again, is really great, and really the breakout star of the movie is Gollum, played by Andy Serkis, who really gets to show that he's got a lot of great acting chops that he would later use to the effects in the Planet of the Apes movies, what he would do with Caesar and so on and so forth. But the funny thing about Gollum is that my introduction to him was not with the movie itself. It was actually when he won an award at the MTV Movie Awards. If you remember, in 2003, you might have noticed that Gollum became the first CG character to win an award. And if you haven't seen that particular footage, just take a look at this, and you'll probably see what I'm talking about here when I say that this is probably one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my entire life.
The safe, it's mine. I won it. It was me. The only one because of me. And me, MTV is my friend. My friend. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you. Dobby likes me. Dobby's a f***ing
That's enough, Gollum.
piece of circus, you stupid fat-faced f***ing turd.
I'm not fat.
Obviously, I can't play the rest of it, but I beg you people, if you have not seen that clip, go look for that. That's Gollum at the MTV Movie Awards, and it's hilarious. Like, it's Andy Serkis, of course, who plays Gollum, and he's grabbing the MTV Movie Award. Gollum grabs the MTV Movie Award and thanks everybody, and he's got the 2 personalities, just like, oh, we want to thank everybody so much. Nobody likes you. Like, you've got the 2 sides of Gollum again. It's just like, it's a really great moment. I wish I could play the whole thing, but go look for that. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I remember, and like when I was recording that, I almost couldn't hold my laughter, and it was still so hilarious, that entire sequence. And it just shows how great of an actor Andy Serkis really is, and just what he's able to do with motion capture work. But I mean, he really is the breakout star of the movie. Everybody else in the movie is great. The storytelling is really solid overall. There's a lot of build-up and anticipation of what's happening, and it's just a damn good movie on so many levels. It's a brilliant film. It continues where the first film left off, and it just gets you so excited to see where this is all going to go in the third film. What's the final outcome when we get to Return of the King? Well, we won't find that out until another year from now, but Two Towers does a very good job of improving the flaws of the previous film, building up the action, building up the tension, adding some great new memorable characters. What more do I gotta say? Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, phenomenal film. With that said, let's move on to the next movie, our second big romantic comedy of the holiday season, and that is Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant in 2 weeks' notice.
Last weekend, critics and sneak preview audiences fell in love with the most charming movie of the season.
Are you serious?
This weekend, everyone gets to join in the fun. 2 weeks' notice is the season's must-see romantic comedy. Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant are a perfect match.
I think you're the most selfish human being on the planet.
Well, that's just silly. Have you met anyone on the planet?
It's sweet, sexy fun.
Okay.
2 weeks' notice. Rated PG-13. The relationship begins tomorrow.
Did you see Made in Manhattan? Because it's pretty much the same movie, with the exception that I think this one has better chemistry than Made in Manhattan does. You have Sandra Bullock as a idealistic liberal lawyer who goes to work for a narcissistic billionaire played by Hugh Grant, who's also a developer, and they form an unlikely pair, and of course they'll eventually fall in love with each other. This is easily the better film over Made in Manhattan, mostly because of, like I said before, the chemistry working a lot better between Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant, who they're masters at handling the romantic comedy. I mean, they've done this so many times in their careers. I mean, Sandra Bullock, for the longest time, made a living off of these romantic comedies, and she has a lot of good charisma with a lot of her actors, and this is one of those exceptions. I mean, they take a film that could have easily been just another Made in Manhattan and feel forced and not really all that inventive and fun, but they actually take it to another level and actually do something really, really great with it. And I think the reason why Made in Manhattan didn't work as well was because of the chemistry between Jennifer Lopez and Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Fiennes has not done a whole lot of romantic comedies, and you're expecting him to be something on the lines of what Hugh Grant is in this movie, but it's just not there in Made in Manhattan. But in this movie, it works well enough where I could say that, yeah, it's a very predictable and flawed movie with a lot of problems in the story department, but for what it's trying to do in terms of the actors involved, it delivers on that and then some. It also helps that you have the same director that did Miss Congeniality, which I think is a really... Actually, I take that back. The writer of Miss Congeniality, who actually directed this film, because that Miss Congeniality was directed by somebody else, but he wrote Miss Congeniality, and you can tell that he's got a nice rapport between him and Sandra Bullock that makes it work as well. This works as well as it should do. I mean, it's not a great film overall, but compared to Made in Manhattan, it's a much better film in terms of getting a story where you have two people that you want to see get together at the end. Like, you do want to see Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant get together at the end of this movie. And it works well enough on its own to say that it is indeed worth a watch. If you're looking for a fun, bright, breezy little romantic comedy, I think you can definitely get it with 2 weeks' notice. It certainly is the better of the two rom-coms that came out during the holiday season. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, which is Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York.
Give me the strength for what I must do.
Gangs of New York. Rated R in theaters Friday.
Set in the year 1863, where you have a long-running Catholic-Protestant feud erupting into violence, just as an Irish immigrant group is protesting against the threat of conscription during the Civil War. You have Leonardo DiCaprio, Cameron Diaz, and Daniel Day-Lewis in the leading cast, among which Jim Broadbent, John C. Reilly, Henry Thomas, Stephen Graham, Eddie Marsan, Brendan Gleeson, and directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Steven Zazilian, who wrote Schindler's List, Kenneth Lonergan, who wrote Manchester by the Sea, Jay Cox, who wrote Ladder 49. Good writers overall here, and a film that delivers everything it promises. There's nothing too grand about it, there's nothing too big or spectacular about it, but like in terms of like, it's one of the great movies of the year, but it's one of the great movies of all time, but it is one of the better movies of the year, with some really good set design overall. The film looks gorgeous to look at. I mean, and great characters overall. Like, you really do get invested in the characters, especially Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't think he's a bad actor overall. I don't think he's that master actor who deserves to have as many Oscars as somebody like Jack Nicholson or Meryl Streep does. But when he does make movies like this, you see why he's as great of an actor that they make him out to be. Like, this is a great movie where he gets to really stand out and show everybody that he's still got what it takes, and he's still a really damn good actor. Like, he really is a good actor overall. And he really does show it in this particular film. I think this film has a great cast overall to make it work. it's just a really, really incredibly made film. A film that is visually gorgeous to look at, a nice story to tell, a good cast overall. It's just a really, really good film. Definitely one of Martin Scorsese's more underrated films, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead now and move on to our next movie, which is another animated series blown up for the big screen. This is the Wild Thornberrys movie.
The Great Plains of Africa. A land where nature was free to exist. In all its beauty, all its majesty, and all its glory.
That is so wrong.
This holiday season,
Let's race! You're supposed to all talk like a monkey, dress like a gig. Yeah, you get used to it.
something untamed.
Where's the bathroom?
You're standing on it.
Something unbelievable.
He stuck a dung beetle up his nose.
Oh, that is not even the half of it.
And something unexpected
Something's happening with the gazelles.
is coming.
Stampede! Battle stations, everybody.
It's getting absolutely still.
Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Movies present an epic adventure that will take you to the ends of the earth.
You will have your own challenges, Puppet.
It's not too late to become ordinary.
And I predict you will meet them splendidly.
The Wild Thornberrys movie.
Donnie, this is no time for the wedgie dance.
Well,
Certainly a much better looking theatrical adaptation of a TV show than Hey Arnold the movie, am I right? The Wild Thornberrys movie has Eliza Thornberry on her quest to rescue a baby cheetah cub named Tally from ruthless poachers. This is, of course, based off of the Nickelodeon movie of the same name. It's actually the third film based off of Nicktoon. And you have an African safari where Eliza discovers that, thanks to a shaman, she can now talk to animals. When Eliza discovers that poachers in Africa's Serengeti Desert plan to kill an elephant herd with an electrified fence, she and her chimpanzee friend Darwin must somehow find a way to stop them. And I've said before that on the website that I'm not a big fan of the Wild Thornberrys cartoon. I thought it was kind of weird when this movie was coming out that the Wild Thornberrys were not only getting one movie but two, because the next year they would be in the Rugrats crossover film. But I took a look at the series back a couple years ago when I was doing the Nicktoons anniversary special on the website, and as the series ended, I actually was surprised at kind of how well it holds up. I mean, it's not a perfect show overall, but it does a commendable job of sticking with its premise and trying to keep the series rules in check. And the film does that as well. I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. I think the animation overall is really good. It definitely does feel like it's a big improvement over the series, and something that where it doesn't feel like a film that was just blown up for the big screen like Hey Arnold was. This is a film that literally feels like a movie that was more than intended to be a big screen theatrical release. I mean, from the story spectrum, too, the story is much more epic. It's bigger than what you would expect from the TV series. There are bigger consequences here. Moments of good tension and suspense when the characters have to go through these difficult things. Like, there's a point where Eliza says that she can talk to animals and she loses all of her powers. And so how is she supposed to save the day when she can't understand what the animals are saying? Like, it's not out of the norm for what you would see on the show, but it's on a much bigger and grander scale of what they're trying to accomplish here. And I think it works to the film's advantages. The cast overall is really great. They have some great new additions to the cast, including Marissa Tomei and Rupert Everett as the poachers. They're really well-written villains overall. Lynn Redgrave plays Nigel's mother. Alfre Woodard plays the mother of the baby cheetah taken by the poachers. And it just works so well. There are a couple of scenes here and there where it doesn't really work as well as it should. Like, there's a whole subplot where Eliza goes to boarding school, and it seems kind of really pointless. They just kind of drop it so quickly, and there are some scenes that do kind of drag on a little bit here, but when you really look at it when it's all said and done, it's actually one of the stronger adaptations of a Nickelodeon series that I've seen in a while. I mean, even for somebody like me who's not a big fan of the show itself, I can see that myself really enjoying this movie in the long run. It did a good job of expanding the series, giving them a much bigger story to work with here. And it's probably my favorite of the Nickelodeon movies that had come out at that point. It was definitely something where I didn't see it when it came out the first time, but I'm glad I did. And I'd say it's well worth the watch. Even if you're not a big Walt Thornberrys fan, you can find so much to admire about this movie in particular to say that I would indeed recommend it for those who really want to see a good, underrated little film here. And this is a really good film. I do recommend checking it out, the Wild Thornberrys movie. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is Denzel Washington making his directorial debut with Antwoine Fisher.
It's the most emotional movie celebration of the year. Joyous, uplifting, life-affirming, triumphant.
You're a champ, son.
Denzel Washington's Antwoine Fisher, rated PG-13, starts tomorrow, only in theaters.
So yeah, I don't think I really need to delve into why I like Denzel Washington. I think he's the best actor we have right now. When it comes to his directorial efforts, however, he's more missed than hit. And this is one of his few hits, though. Well, he's made 4 films, so he's about even right now. 2 of his films are really good. This and Fences. The other ones, not so much. The Great Debaters wasn't all that strong. Neither was A Journal for Jordan. But for his first film, he did a pretty good job of handling this. This film is inspired by the true story of the real Antwoine Fisher, who was credited as the screenwriter for this, and it's based off his autobiographical book, Finding Fish. And the movie revolves around a sailor prone to violent outbursts sent to a naval psychiatrist for help. Refusing at first to open up, the young man eventually breaks down and reveals a horrific childhood. Through the guidance of his doctors and confronting his painful past, he begins the quest to find the family he never knew. And the interesting thing about this is that the real Antwoine Fisher was actually working as a security guard at Sony Studios when they were making the film. Studio executives began hearing about his life story and offered to buy the rights, but Fisher refused, insisting that he wrote the script for himself, and he wrote 41 different drafts and eventually sold it to 20th Century Fox. I think that's a very fascinating story, that this guy that this book is based off of was actually a security guard at another studio, and so they refused to basically let him write the movie that he wanted to write, and essentially put him in a place to go to Fox and actually put it out. And it made for a really good movie. You got the feature film debut of Derek Luke, who does a pretty good job of handling the role here. You got Joy Bryan as his girlfriend and Denzel Washington playing the psychiatrist. It's a really solid film and a really engaging character study on this guy and his incredible legacy that he had. And he's trying to figure out, what his problems are and how the film. And I like the way the film handles his tough childhood and how he's able to, and how they're able to come to an agreeable conclusion to how he should handle his life after that. I mean, it's a really solid film, a really engaging film, a really entertaining movie. It's a really well-made film that I think, I don't even want to say is really criminally underrated. I think it's a film that is very, very good. Like I said, it's definitely one of Denzel Washington's 2 best films as a director. The other one, of course, being Fences, which I think is probably his greatest achievement overall. But for a directorial debut, this definitely works out well, very well. And I can't recommend this one enough. Antwoine Fisher, brilliant, brilliant film. I really enjoy it. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is Spike Lee's latest film, and that is 25th Hour.
Spike Lee joins 25th Hour, certainly one of the finest films of the year. Rated R, now playing in New York and LA.
25th Hour is a very interesting movie for Spike Lee to make for a number of reasons. One, it's definitely a film that feels very different from the usual films he was making, and 2, it was actually one of the first movies to tackle September 11th within the premise of the film. So you have a story where it depicts the last day of freedom for a young man before he begins serving a 7-year jail term for drug dealing. Prowling through the city until dawn with his 2 close male friends and his girlfriend, he's forced to re-examine his life and examine how he got himself into his predicament, which leads to a shocking, disturbing finale. And like I said, this was kind of stuck in the middle of Lee's one of Lee's mass streaks of movies, where you had some films that weren't that great, definitely were very not as strong compared to some of his other works, and this might very well be one of his more underrated films as a filmmaker. It's a fantastic film that I don't think gets enough attention as Lee's other works does, but it has grown a big following over the years, and it's a film that I think really should get the attention that it deserves. You got Edward Norton giving a brilliant, fantastic performance with a cast that includes Philip Seymour Hoffman, Barry Pepper, Rosario Dawson, Anna Paquin, Brian Cox. The writing is very solid, delivering this engaging storyline and using the 9/11 attacks very well without feeling forced into the premise itself. It doesn't pull the shit that something like Remember Me does, where it just throws it in there at the last minute for a cheap emotional effect. Trust me, we'll delve into the stupidity of that movie when we get to the new decade of the teens. But 25th Hour, I think, is a really good movie. A great cast, great writing, great drama, great monologues all around. It's definitely one of Spike Lee's most underrated movies, and definitely one of his best movies by a long shot that, sadly, I don't think a lot of people really know about, but they should definitely check it out. But, like I said, the movie has continued to grow and gain attention over the years, and I hope it continues to do so, because it definitely deserves to do that. But, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at our last movie, and that is Joe Carnahan's Narc.
I'm gonna bag the guys who killed Mike, but that means breaking every point of procedure, then they're broke. Two cops.
I want to talk to my lawyer. There are no lawyers.
One wants answers.
The undercover officer was murdered. They put a gun to his head and put a bullet through it.
The other wants justice. Now,
Open that door!
nothing is more dangerous
You ready to talk?
than the truth.
This is all politics. They didn't know him. They can't forget about him fast enough.
Jason Patrick, Ray Liotta, Narc, rated R, now playing in select theaters.
Speaking of great criminally underrated dramas, here's another one. You have Jason Patrick and Ray Liotta starring in the film. Ray Liotta also co-produced. And one thing I always remember about this movie was this thing had like 12 different producers, either producers or executive producers on here. I just remember the poster and looking at the credits, and there was just like almost over 10 different people producing the film. It's just like, how many producers can you have on one movie? But the story of this movie revolves around the efforts of the two police detectives, played by the actors I just mentioned, in search of the murderer of an undercover police officer. And as they investigate, they engage in unethical behavior and uncover dark secrets that will challenge their fragile relationship. Joe Carnahan actually sold this movie as an NYPD Blue-style storyline. I mean, he literally said, this is an NYPD Blue episode, no one cares about the cop genre anymore. And that was basically what he said after the script really didn't gain a lot of traction. And it was pitched as a raw cop drama in the tradition of 70s films like Sidney Lumet and William Friedkin. And Ray Liotta actually was able to pick this up and knew that there was something there to it. And lo and behold, it's a really damn good movie. It's a film that shows no mercy. It's a film that really shows what this director is capable of doing, as he would go on to direct films like Smoking Aces, The A-Team, and The Grey later on afterwards. But this is a really damn good movie. It's a film that really is not afraid to take chances and actually does more that you would expect from a movie of this type coming out around this time period. I mean, it is a gritty cop drama that is not afraid to show the bad side, the good and bad sides of being a police officer, and I think it works very well to the film's advantage. It has a great cast, a great story to tell. It's visually pleasing to look at. It's a film that really is intense and chilling. It does not pull any punches, and just gives you the cold, hard truth about reality in this. And I think it works really, really well. It's a pretty damn good movie that doesn't get the proper respect it deserves, but it definitely is a film that deserves to be seen by a lot of people, and I do recommend it. Check out Narc if you can find it. And so with that said, we wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies. When we meet next time, we will look at the last weekend of 2002, Christmas weekend, where we have Steven Spielberg's latest film, Catch Me If You Can. We have the year's Best Picture winner, Chicago, which is probably one of my favorite Best Picture winners of all time. We'll delve into that. The Lion King gets a IMAX re-release. We'll take a brief look at that. We'll look at the Roberto Benigni's Pinocchio, the one that was terrible, not the other one he would do later on down the road, which is better, but not by that much. But Roberto Benigni's Pinocchio in 2002 is it's quite a trip. We'll delve into that one. We will also take a look at Nicole Kidman with her Oscar-winning performance in The Hours, and finally Adrian Brody and his Oscar-winning performance in Roman Polanski's The Pianist. 6 films in general to take a look at, and we'll take a look at those all in the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.